Good morning, guys, and welcome to another daily episode of Targeted Loot today for Monday, December 14th. In this series, we cover a lot from the Targeted Loot map to DZ exclusives to farm for, highlights from the weekly vendor resets, build and farming suggestions, and much more. I'm Shadow Gaming, and if you enjoy this video, consider pressing the subscribe and like buttons below. And remember to comment below if you have any questions whatsoever, otherwise let's get this video started. Alright guys, so starting off in the Dark Zones and vendor reset highlights, which will be in the bottom left overlay, and remember that the vendor reset is tomorrow. So before that, I would definitely pick up that Chain Killer chest piece over here in the clan. It's rolled really well for a headshot damage build. And then the other thing I would recommend is DZ West. You got a Harmony with Perfectly in Sync, which is definitely going to be worth grabbing up for 152 DZ resources, and is a secondary weapon in my new skill build video, which I would go check out in the top right card now. And of course, reroll that rate of fire off for 10% damage targets out of cover, and that should be good for the vendor reset highlights this week. For normal targeted loot, we got Circle of Concern and DZ West. There is no Dark Zone exclusive for this, so I don't recommend farming for it because the DZ loot quality is really low, so I only recommend farming for DZ exclusives really. And of course, same goes for DZ South with Hana-Yu. Once again, no Dark Zone exclusive to farm for, so I just don't recommend it at all. Now over in DZ East, there is something to farm for that's a DZ exclusive. That is the Claws Out holster. It's a Wyvernware holster with 500% melee damage and 10% pistol damage. You know, it's pretty good for shield builds, so I'd recommend farming for it. Otherwise, let's go check out the north side now. Alright guys, so starting off in the north side area, just remember that Grand Washington Hotel is invaded this week. If you didn't get your Puck's blueprint for the Nemesis, I would definitely try to get that today. And remember, just go to mission settings and go to toggle mission mode, and it will put it back on invaded if you don't get it to drop the first time, but you need the required, materials before you run this. Now over here in Camp White Oak, we got light machine guns as targeted loot, so you can farm for two exotics, the Bullet King and the Pestilence, both of which I would highly recommend farming for. Otherwise, you got some named LMGs that you can grab up. That would be the Carnage with Perfect Sadist, there's a new Reliable Perfectly Optimized, and several others. Next up, we got the new Rigger gear set at Coney Island Amusement Park. Now that I think is worth farming for so far. It's pretty cool for instant cooldowns and everything and deployable skills, but I can't really recommend a build for you guys just yet. And then of course, Grupo Sombro, one piece for DPS builds, two pieces for skill explosives damage builds. Otherwise, that's pretty much all I would recommend for the top area, the North DC area. Kinley College is open for just today, and then it closes, and then the Summit, you pick your own targeted loot. So now let's go check out what we got on the west side. Alright guys, now we're over here on the west side, targeted loot highlights. Starting off with gear sets, we got Hunter's Fury at Tidal Basin Stronghold. Now I highly recommend my build for Hunter's Fury. That's 4 pieces of Hunter's Fury, the Death Grips, and the Memento Backpack. And nowadays I rolled out with the Scorpio Shotgun and the Dark Winter, and it's borderline overpowered. I absolutely love it. Next up is Foundry Bulwark at West Atomic Park. Now remember, the chest and backpack are raid exclusive, just like the Future Initiative set piece. And this is really just for tank builds. I don't recommend it for anything else. We do got Aces and Eights at Lincoln Memorial. That's a great headshot damage build. Now remember, mix 3 pieces of this with 2 pieces of Heralda Holding, one being a backpack with Composure or Vigilance, and the Chain Killer chest piece with Perfect Headhunter for a great headshot damage build. Future Initiative at DCD HQ today, so you could run this for a great healer build. What I do is I always mix the Alp Summit chest piece with Empathetic Resolve, with a backpack with Safeguard, and I also have another build with the chest and backpack piece, but remember, you can only get those from the Iron Horse raid, but they still are very worth getting. Next up, we got a Close Protocol at Constitutional Hall, 4 pieces of a Close Protocol, Imperial Dynasty holster, and 1 piece of Golon gear. Is probably my favorite fire damage build, and I'll put a video of that in the top right card as well. I highly recommend it for heroic content and even legendary as well. For normal targeted loot, first off, we got rifles at the Pentagon. So there's 2 exotic rifles, the Merciless and the Diamondback. I don't really recommend either or, but they're kind of cool in their own ways. For the named rifles, I'd recommend the Surge with Perfect Spike and the Baker's Dozen with Perfect Lucky Shot. Those are the only 2 that aren't Dark Zone exclusives and drop in the LZ. Next up, we do got Providence Defense at Roosevelt Island, so if you want to run this on Legendary and try to get, the Sacrifice with Perfect Glass Cannon rolled perfectly, or whatever other piece you need, definitely try to grab that today. Well, I got Walker Harrison Co. at Foggy Bottom today as well, so you can farm this for that Chain Killer chest piece with Perfect Headhunter, but I do really recommend that you just grab it from the clan today. Next up, we got submachine guns over here at Downtown West. So remember, 3 exotic submachine guns in this game: Lady Death, Backfire, and Chatterbox. All 3 of those are definitely worth farming for. And also remember that the Dark Winter and the Apartment are DZ exclusives. You cannot farm for them outside the Dark Zone, although they drop under certain circumstances like seasonal caches and manhunt targets sometimes. Otherwise, what I do recommend for named SMGs in the Light Zone would be the Safety Distance with Perfect Outsider and the Grudge with Perfect Vindictive. Those are both pretty good. And then really lastly, we got Badger Tough at the White House. You can grab the Zero F's chest piece with Perfect Unbreakable. That is a really good DPS hybrid build, and it's still good even after Title Update 10. And then last up, we got knee pads at Bank HQ. There's 2 exotic knee pads you can farm for, Ninja Bike Messenger and Sawyer's knee pads. Both of those are great for DPS builds, but Ninja Bike being more for SMGs probably, and then of course Sawyer's being for rifles and sniper builds. And then of course you can farm for the Fox's Pair knee pads with 8% damage targets out of cover. Those are great on and off rifle builds. It's just great to have that multiplicative damage. Alright, now let's go check out what we got on the east side. Alright guys, starting off in the east side with gear sets, we got Negotiator's Dilemma at Southwest. So this is a great double LMG build. I have 4 pieces of Negotiator's Dilemma, a group of Sunbro gloves, and the Coyote's Mask. And I run that with a Pestilence and a Neg EV, and that is a pretty good crowd control DPS build, so I recommend that as well. We got Petrov over here at Space Administration HQ. I would farm this for the Contractor's Gloves with 8% damage to armor. It's great on any LMG build, or if you're using 2 pieces of Walker Harrison code to stack damage to armor. Next up, we got Empress at Air and Space Museum. There's a few new Empress pieces. One of them is the battery pack, which you probably have plenty of by now. They seem to drop quite a bit, but remember, my new build video utilizes 3 pieces of this, so you can get that 10% skill efficiency, and it's a really great set. Next up, we got Mask at East Mall. There's 4 control points here to farm for, and they're probably manhunt targets if you haven't finished them yet. There's 2 exotic masks you could farm for, the Coyote's Mask and the Vile Mask. Coyote's being for DPS, and the Vile Mask being for skill damage and status effects. Otherwise, you can farm for the Punch Drunk Mask with 20% headshot damage baked into it. It's perfect for an all high-end headshot damage build. Next up, we got Hardwired at Viewpoint Museum. I don't really recommend this anymore now that I have a new skill build out. I just can't really recommend the 3-piece Hardwired anymore. While it is pretty good, it just doesn't near reach the damage numbers you can get from an all high-end build, from the new Empress set and everything. Now next up, we do got MMRs at Jefferson Trade Center. You can farm for the Mantis and the Nemesis, but remember the Nemesis is a quest-only exotic, and before you hit up Grand Washington Hotel, I'd highly recommend making sure you've deconstructed the designated hitter from the Tidal Basin Stronghold and, gotten that component first before you farm for the blueprint. Otherwise, there's a few good named MMRs that you could farm for, the White Death and Ecom's Longstick with Perfect Ranger. Those are the only 2 I would recommend, really. And then last but not least, we got Assault Rifles at Grand Washington Hotel. There's 2 Assault Rifles that are exotic now, the Chameleon with Adaptive Instincts and the Capacitator. Both of those are definitely worth farming for, but remember that you get 5 challenges on Summit to get that Capacitator first, then it will join the general loot pool, so you got to get it over here first from completing 5 Summit challenges. Now for the named ARs, the ones that are worth grabbing would be the Test Subject with Perfectly in Sync, the Mechanical Animal with Future Perfection, the Burnout named FAMAS, and the Maniac named Military AKM. Otherwise, the best ARs that you can get is the FAMAS, the Military AKM, the Police M4, and the Carbine 7. And that's just about it for the east side. Let's go check out now what we got on New York City. Alright guys, last but not least, we got New York City Targeted Loot highlights. Starting off with the gear sets, we do got Ongoing Directive at Liberty Island. Now, there's a great bleed damage build, and even with the Eclipse Protocol backpack 4-piece bonus not working anymore, you could still do something cool with this. You want to mix 4 pieces of Ongoing Directive, the Anarchist Cookbook with Perfectly Wicked, and the Ridgeway's Pride chest piece for a great bleed sustainability build. Next up, we got Tip of the Spear over here at Liberty Island. Now, I've got an idea for this. Mixing 4 pieces with the Memento backpack and maybe the Scorpio shotgun might be pretty cool, but I haven't tried it out yet. I'm going to give it a spin today. So let me know if you try that out as well, and let me know if that might be something that ends up being pretty good. I'm going to figure out later today. And then lastly, we got Strikers over here at the Civic Center. Remember, 3 pieces for increased rate of fire and weapon handling. Otherwise, the 4-piece bonus is not even close to worth it. Back to normal targeted loot, we got shotguns at Stranded Tanker. There's 2 exotic shotguns now, the Scorpio and the Sweet Dreams. Both of them were really worth farming for, but the Scorpio is probably way better. And of course, you got to get it from the season reward level 50 first before it joins the general targeted loot pool. Otherwise, the 3 best shotguns in this game is going to be the Mop with 10% armor on kill, the Custom Inmate 70, and the Marine Super 90. And remember, Douglas and Harding is better to farm for the Punch Drunk Mask than it is for mass targeted loot, because farming the brand, not the type, is going to yield better results. And that same goes with Overlord for the Fox's Prayer knee pads as well. And that's about it that I would recommend over here in this area for New York City, so that's it. Alright guys, well that was the targeted loot for today. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe, like, and share if you enjoyed my content. If you'd like to become a member, you can click the join button below. Also in the pinned comments and video description, all the links for my merch, Discord, joining the clan, all that stuff will be below this video. Otherwise guys, make sure to take care and have a great day. Stay tuned for more daily Division 2 content. This is Agent Shadow signing off. I will see you in the next video. Take care, agents.